Hi there, hey there, ho there. We're as happy as can be. Another week, another session. Thank you for letting me get my hi there, hey there, ho there in. Last week you had to.
Last week was a little different with the Howard Cosell.
Just trying to change it up.
He jumped in, didn't he?
He did. Well, you were delayed, and you were
Because I was waiting for you.
No, it wasn't. I could go back and do it.
Huh?
You just delayed. You froze. But
he jumped right in this up.
Yeah.
Hey, this week's show, interesting. And first of all, send out an apology. We said we'd be talking about the winners, and actually this week the top 3 were announced for each category, and next week we'll talk about the winners. But it's fascinating, and 2 things, one in each league, and I want to come out also, besides apologizing for getting the schedule wrong.
We got it wrong.
We got it wrong.
Yeah,
they don't announce them until next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But here is the thing that I have changed. I have changed my opinion on how I view something, and have my entire life. And it affects one of the awards.
Okay.
And right when you're thinking, oh, he's changed his opinion on wins mattering. No.
No?
That is number 1. And we'll go there first. And I'll tell you is you need to do your job. If you're a closer, but you hold the opponent because you keep coming in tie games and you don't lose games, you're not going to win the Cy Young because your job is to save 50 games like Bedrosian did or Eckersley did or whatever.
And if you give up the lead and then
if you have a great ERA and a great ratio and you keep the other team from scoring and you're a middle reliever and you do it 60 times during the year and you have an 0.85 ERA,
you're not going to win the Cy Young.
Middle relievers deserve to win this. Hey, he did his job. If you are a starting pitcher, your job is to win. Your job is to put your team in position to win, and that's what they're saying. Well, he put him in position, but he can't score the runs. Well, then don't allow as many runs as you did. If you have a 190 ERA, have a 150 ERA. Yeah. But your job is to win.
Right. I mean, I've heard that argument for them, and if he had the most wins on his staff, I would say I agree. But he doesn't. He doesn't have the most wins on the Mets.
No.
He doesn't have a better record than 2 other pitchers on the Mets. How can you give the Cy Young to a guy who's the 3rd best pitcher on his team?
Yep, I agree.
Until the last month of the season, he had a losing record.
To the last game he pitched. He was 500. To the last 2 games, he had to win the last 2 to get above 500. No, I'm sorry. DeGrom had a great year. But if they give it to DeGrom, I'll tell you what that means. That means that whole thing, the baseball writers ought to be that whole organization ought to be blown up and start over again. Because if they give him that award, they don't understand the award and they don't deserve to have the vote. My opinion.
But it's media, publicity, where you're at. It's New York. If he was pitching for any other team besides the New York Mets, I don't think we'd be having this.
Right.
Publicity can get you a lot. Is Bryce Harper going to become the highest paid player in baseball history?
Yes, he will.
Because he's better than Trout?
No.
Because he has more publicity? Because he does commercials, he looks good, and he trims his beard really, really nice?
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny, because Trout's on the West Coast, and Trout's in L.A., which is like, what are the media market?
But Trout just does his job. Trout is a quiet player.
He doesn't go about doing anything else. But Harper really doesn't either. I mean, he does a couple of ads.
He's controversial with a lot, and he'll come out with a lot of statements.
That's true.
His presence is bigger than Trout's.
Well, he brings attention to himself with a lot of comments.
He's going to be the highest paid player for now.
For now. It's going to be very interesting. I was reading Machado.
He turned down 300
million.
$30 million a year for 10.
For 10 years. Of course.
Will he get 350?
I would imagine he would.
Okay, so what's the difference in 300 million and 350?
$5 million
what your agent puts in his pocket. I mean,
it's $5 million a year.
I'll take 5 extra million. But where is
Can you do a lot with $5 million a year?
I can do a lot with 30 million.
Yeah. You could, but you can do a lot with 5 million.
I'll be quiet.
I could do a lot with 5, but the question,
they're going to give you 5 more.
Here's the question. All right, so if you're that good, all right, you're that good. You're that good a player. Number one, I'm not sure he's that good a player.
I don't either.
But let's just say
he has a lot of these.
He has a lot of that. So let's say that he's that good a player. Okay, if you're that good a player, what's $5 million if you go to a team that's a losing team?
pacifier.
See,
I mean,
Do you think that it's worth $5 million more? And I'm not saying they're paying for this, but is it worth $5 million more to go to Minnesota than it is to play in Washington?
that's a good question. My thing is if I'm a free agent like Bryce Harper, I want to go where I have a chance to win. You know, that's my thing. I don't want to. The money's money, but I want to go win. And where do I have the best chance to win?
And a lot of it, and I know
it's all guaranteed.
But when they're looking at it and everything,
so once he signs the deal, if he blows out his knee tomorrow, they're still paying him.
Do you know what the difference is, seriously, between $30 million for the Washington Nationals, and I'm not saying you use Minnesota as an example.
Oh, I'm just saying
and $35 million with the Tampa Bay Rays?
Well, number one, in Florida, you don't get charged for income tax, so it's probably going to cost the same amount.
I would think that in Washington, you probably have the highest local, one of the highest taxes on top of federal income tax than anywhere in the country, next to California.
Yeah. California would be higher.
Yeah, but I'm just saying there's a lot of factors that play into it. But $5 million a year is $5 million.
But it is $5 million a year. But how much is your happiness, and how much are you going to be like 2 years from now going, golly, I can't believe I have to play with this team?
What's he been doing with Washington? Right now, I think they
until last year, until this year,
they were in the race.
They were in the race. They were, at least they were a team that was looked at as, okay, you're building towards something to win with them.
So is he going to go to Minnesota?
But what about Trout? Trout's in L.A. and they're not doing anything.
No, but is he going to go to Minnesota? I think what you're saying, I think he's saying, one, I can make a little bit more money, but two, I can get myself in a race because this team hasn't done diddly squat for me the way it's being run.
Who's going to pay him? Who's going to pay him the money?
The White Sox.
Philadelphia.
So the White Sox going to be in the race?
With all of a sudden, if you have Bryce Harper and they show you the little
Bryce Harper that
the L.A. Lakers going to be in the race? Well, LeBron is banking on that they're going to bring in boom and boom and boom, and that's what they're telling.
But Bryce Harper is not LeBron. That's apples and oranges. Bryce Harper cannot carry the whole team.
Harper is presenting and perceiving and believes he is the LeBron of baseball.
He can't carry a whole team like basketball. No. Basketball, one guy can make a difference.
Totally agree. But I'm just saying,
he's 1/9, and he only bats one time, and he can't control where the ball's hit to him or not in the outfield. So he can't control where he throws anybody out or not. If nobody hits the ball to him, he can't throw anybody out. Well, he only gets up to bat 4 times a game. 4 times a game. LeBron's going to handle the ball every single time he's on the floor. There's the difference in basketball and baseball.
Passionate. That's what we're looking for.
I'm just sorry. I don't know that Bryce Harper is good enough to build a whole team on.
I agree, but that's what he's being perceived as, and some team will bite.
Some team's going to pay him.
They are.
And
he's going to get his money.
You know, some team paid Rodriguez or whatever it was way back in the day.
And Machado's going to get paid.
Machado's going to get paid.
Is Machado going to get the same amount of money?
That's what I saw, by the way, and you're the one who follows all that hot stove or warm oven or whatever it is.
Warm oven, yeah.
The warm oven league. And I saw Machado and Bryce Harper to the White Sox. Did you?
I've seen that. I've also
How? They have that much money?
Both.
Right, both. I've seen Machado to the Yankees.
$55 million a year for
I'll tell you what. That turns a team around at least somewhat.
Yep. But Machado wants to go play to New York. That's where I've read that he wants to go. He wants to go to the Yankees. And so we'll see.
Machado wants to play for the Yankees?
Yep, I've read that more than one place. But the Yankees need pitching. I don't see them going after him. I mean, he's an upgrade at third base.
They're young there.
They're young, and the guy didn't have a bad year.
No. Runner-up MVP, he's rookie or whatever.
Yep.
No, it'll be interesting. But as I said, and we'll close out the last 5 minutes and maybe start the next session, that's not where I changed. I still believe if you're a starter, you got to win. That's what your job is to do, to put your team in a position to win a game. And if you don't win, then you're not doing your job as a starting pitcher.
Let me ask you this question. We see how the game, I know you want to get your point, see how the game is progressing, the way it's changing.
Handle it in the second half.
Okay, the way it's changing. Because a starting pitcher today effectively is just a
5 innings
starting pitcher. He's an opener. That's all he is.
Opener.
The days of a pitcher going 7 or 8, I was reading Ball 4 for the 1900th time, and Jim Bouton talks about he's in the 10th inning pitching. That would never happen today, ever.
Oh
no! Walker Buehler got pulled out the 7th, and he should have been finishing the game for the Dodgers, for goodness sake. But I mean, they don't. It's all about the analytics, and I think some people outfox themselves when it comes to that. I mean, if my guy's going good, you ride that horse till he drops. That's my feeling. I mean,
yeah, I don't understand.
You saw a lot of examples of that in the
World Series,
this year.
and bit
you
people
pull
in
the guy after 7. And,
bit him hard.
I mean, it looks good on paper, but games aren't played on paper. They're played in a little screen.
And
you have a controller.
But it's starting. I mean, I think the way Tampa Bay did late in the year
that is not going to catch up.
An opener pitcher is all it's going to be.
You have 2 starters that you throw every other game, and you have bullpen by committee. We're going to start Joe.
No.
Bullpen by committee. We're going to start Fred. No. Bullpen by committee.
I agree with it.
Bullpen by committee, and we're back to Joe. We're back to Joe again.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think you got guys that are dominant enough still that Tampa Bay didn't, because Tampa Bay traded their third starter.
No, Milwaukee. They're all. It's amazing. Yes, Tampa Bay got publicity for being the first. But there were 5 or 6 teams that were doing it this year.
I just don't. That's, if that happens, then you might as well throw away starting pitching stats and throw away the Cy Young. Cy Young becomes irrelevant.
Well,
it becomes irrelevant.
That's my point, and that's actually going to be my point when we start the second session. Okay, is Cy Young is for the best pitching performance, and if that's the way pitching is going to be now, okay. Then a starter's job is to get wins, a middle reliever's job is to keep the other team off the scoreboard, and a closer's job is to get the save.
Slam the door.
And if you don't do one of those 3, then you're not doing what your role is in today's baseball pitching.
And all I'm saying is the rules have changed. The definition of the rules have changed in the last year, especially.
When DeGrom was in there, he wasn't an opener.
Right,
that's the other
starter.
part.
Yeah.
If he was an opener, then you could sit there and say, hey, he went his 4 innings, 5 innings, and that wasn't his job on that team this year. His job was a starting pitcher to go out and get the team a win. He only did that, and maybe his team won because he left the game tied. So I don't want to say his team only won 10 games, but he only won 10.
And maybe he wasn't tied. Maybe he was behind because he gave up 2 runs and they only scored 1. I mean, yeah, I get that. But there have been tons of other pitchers that have faced that same thing, have been on teams that haven't been good teams that have won 15 games. If he's won 15, if he's 15-5,
that's different.
That's different.
It's different.
That's different. 15-5 is.
Nolan Ryan used to go 13-11.
Yeah.
15-9, and then be up against these guys with 25 wins, and those guys would win. Well, Nolan Ryan actually pitched pretty.
He pitched better.
2 no-hitters this year.
You can be a better pitcher on a bad team and not have as good a record as a mediocre pitcher on a really good team.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that.
Pitching wins games.
Right, and I firmly believe that DeGrom might be the best pitcher. But I don't think he deserves the Cy Young.
But I do believe...
Just because your ERA is lower, you could have benefited from a lot of ground ball double plays. You could have benefited from a big park, and the ball stays in the ballpark, and other guys are playing in smaller parks that balls would have left the yard, and now suddenly you're giving up 1 run a game when you really would have been giving up 3 or 4 runs a game. There's a whole lot of factors in the ERA that comes into play.
Yep.
And for me, if you're going to be the Cy Young winner, until it changes, it should be a starter who wins, or a guy who has 60 saves on a team that's going to the playoffs.
And if you start redefining these pitching roles, then you can give it to a guy.
But you can't give it to a middle guy who comes in. I don't care if he goes
70 games.
I don't care if he plays 70 games and doesn't give up a single run and only pitches 70 innings.
Mike Marshall finished 2nd in the Cy Young that year. He pitched in like 100 and how many are in a season? 162. He pitched in like 160 games.
Something like that.
No, it was like 120 games. Remember?
Yep.
Pitched in every single one and did a great job. He, in today's day and age, he would have, without a doubt, middle reliever.
Would have won it.
He would have won the Cy Young.
Yep.
Because he had a great year. But, hey, you come in 120 games a year and do your job and keep the other team from scoring there.
And your team goes to the playoffs.
If your starter goes 8, you throw the 9th. If your starter goes 5, you throw the 6th and 7th. He did it every single game almost.
I'm sorry.
But
I'm sorry.
Cy Young is for the best pitcher.
So it makes it great.
Well, maybe the Cy Young should be redefined for the best starter.
Well, we'll talk about who should be getting awards and what they're defined in a minute.
We'll get to that when we come back.